I'm Tom.
And I'm Molly.
Welcome to Friends at Gameology, hosted by friends at Gameology.com.
Reviews for science.
In 7 minutes or less. Darts, a dexterity Euro game. Dexterity in that you have to throw these darts, these pointed metal spears at the board. And the Euro is that it's just a really mathy game. It's not like a resource management style as much as it is just it makes me think of like Power Grid in a sense of how much just arithmetic is involved. So, essentially you stand seven or so feet away from the board, which is about 5 feet 8 inches off the ground, and you toss 3 darts at the board, and there's a whole scoring mechanism that's, I think, somewhat complicated, but nothing you couldn't learn in the first. Let's just get ahead of myself. Let's just talk simplicity versus complexity.
So the point is to go from, there's different ways to play. And the main way is to start at 501 points. I guess you could pick, I think I've heard 3 of 101 playing. So start at that points, and you just want to hit the board and just go to 0. And you need to end exactly on 0. So now that's it. It's a tiny bit tricky because this inner rim, everything on there is triple whatever number's on the outside. And the outer rim, everything is double whatever's on the outside. Right? And then you have a bullseye. Outside the bullseye is 25, inside is 50. So that's where it's a little bit complicated, kind of like what Tom was saying. That's doesn't even touch on scoring per se. The math part Tom was talking about, that's where it gets complex. So all of that, what I said, is a tiny bit complex. But man, you start at 501, you hit it, and if I hit a triple 20, which is the best, is at 60 points. If I hit a triple 20, I have to, 501 minus 60. That's where the math comes in, and knowing what you need from there. And then the last ending has to be a double, which is the outer rim, or a bullseye, but you can house rules it, which is very nice, because we just make it so that you have to get 0. So if I need 5, I can hit a 5 and win. So.
Yeah, I don't typically care for house rules in board games, but our friend that taught us how to play, although we knew how to play from watching the Pro Series, our friend that taught us how to play in local leagues, it's just a normal variation or variant. So I wouldn't say it's as much house rules as a normal variant. In fact, I just used an app to keep score, which is really nice. There's a lot of app choices out there. Yeah. And the one I used said you could have these built-in variants. So, it is complicated. There are a lot of different ways to play. And then on top of that, you're tossing, is dexterity. So it's very unusual to have a dexterity arithmetic game.
Yeah.
Let's talk luck versus strategy.
So Tom was guiding into it with the throwing a dart on the board being dexterity. Skill, right? So when we talk about dexterity games, I feel like we add in luck, strategy, skill. There's a lot of skill involved in this game. But there's also a lot of luck involved. And if you're really good, then strategy comes into play as to what you're going to leave yourself in order to be able to finish first, right? You need to leave even numbers so that if you miss getting a double, you can still go. 13 is a terrible example. But if I need 20 and I go double 10 and I miss and I get 10, I can still try to get a double 5, right? So there is some strategy, but you have to be really good at skill in order to get that strategy in there. So otherwise, lots of luck.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it lucky? If you practice this game, you will get better at it the more you play. So It is a skill-based game. Mm-hmm. There is the strategy of where you're going to play. So this is hilarious. You probably see our dog's tail hitting the table right here. This moron is trying to interrupt our review. So point being, I think this is not very luck-based. It does not lean that way. All right, let's talk fun versus boring. I think darts is a fun game. It has a whole culture around it. It makes me think of Magic the Gathering in a sense, in so many ways because of the tournaments and whatnot. But then on top of that, you can bring your own darts. These came together, right?
Yes, these
all came together. And so these may not be the best darts. This may not be the best dart board. Someone else could bring a more quality set. And it makes me think of Magic the Gathering, who pays the most is going to win the most type thing. But that analogy doesn't stretch that far because really, even with some shoddier darts, if you know what you're doing, you can take it all the way. So I do think it's fun. One thing I'd like to point out is that this game also reminds me a bit of, say, Munchkin or Love Letter, in that they all have so many different themes, this can be themed in so many different ways. There's like a classic theme where it's just the dexterity aspect, but we've got like a Star Wars theme going on here, and you could have any theme. Like, they exist. It's out there.
We have a kid's dartboard for our little girls that is like a spider web.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to have a theme, you could probably find it. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this game is super fun. I got into it by watching the Pro Series. It was really, really entertaining. And so then I was like, oh, I want to start playing this game. And so we did, and it's been super fun. I found this dartboard, and I thought, I have to have it. And so I got it. And so we've been playing, and it's super fun, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to either be able to put it in a garage and not care about some property damage, because you're not always going to hit the board, or who wants to go through a little bit of setup trouble to make a board that can go behind there so that you don't put holes in your wall, because you will miss the board.
That's a fact. What would you rate it on the Board Game Geek rating scale?
I would give this a 10 out of 10.
I think an 8 out of 10 for me. I like it. The end game is a little difficult and can become frustrating because it relies on skill right there. And so, whatever.
Because you have to get, like, I had 15 left and I had to get 15.
Right. So we were playing by the variant where you don't go out on doubles.
Yeah. It would take even longer. Whew.
So, 10, 8, that's a good score. It's a highly recommended game.
Every time we get to multiples of 500 subscribers, we give away a free glitter painting of your favorite geeky thing. So make sure to subscribe now on YouTube.
Could be you that wins.
Darts. We've presented the evidence.
You be the judge.